Y'all, can we give an applause to the pony though? Clock it. Do not underestimate social media. This is a great question. Chances are, if you are doing tax strategy the right way, you may actually get money back. Welcome to my channel where we talk all things travel, nursing, faith, and lifestyle. It's your girl Ebony. If you are new here, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, especially because we're about to drop some gems in this video today. If you have been on my channel, welcome back. I love you. Thank you for being here. So today we are going to talk more about locum tenens. What is that? Details of what you should know about being a locum tenens, and if you want to transition into that role. I actually got a list of questions from my email list, and so I'm going to go through them so I can explain exactly how to get started with locum tenens. For those of you who don't know me, I have been traveling as a locum tenens nurse practitioner, aka a travel nurse practitioner, for the past 6 years. I've worked in numerous places as a contractor. So I worked in infectious disease, primary care, pediatrics, employee health. I ran the first COVID testing center in New York City. Let's clap to that. And I've just been working as a contractor and being able to travel the world and fund my lifestyle that way. So if you want to get into locum tenens, I'm going to go through these questions that my email subscribers has given me to answer today. Okay. So the first question is, how do I transition from a staff NP to a locum NP? First and foremost, I'm going to let you know that you can transition into locums mainly if you have experience. I would say at least 6 months to 1 year of experience. However, you definitely can transition into locums as a new grad. I've seen it happen. It is possible. So the best way to transition into contracting as a locum tenens nurse practitioner is by going ahead and applying for jobs. Simple and easy, right? But one thing I would say is that you want to make sure that you apply for jobs in areas that are super marketable and fill with those opportunities. So we have areas like urgent care, primary care, emergency medicine, hospitalist, psych, women's health, adult gero, peds. Those are just a few areas that you want to make sure you specialize in so that you can now be able to take advantage of those opportunities. Number 2. How much experience do I need to start working as a locum tenens nurse practitioner? I just answered that question. I would say at least 1 year of experience. But like I mentioned before, you can definitely start as a new grad. Number 3, what are the biggest mistakes new locum NPs make? That's actually a great question, y'all. So one of the things I would say that most new locum NP make is actually starting the job without having everything that you need set up, especially when it comes to 1099 contracting, which I believe there are a lot of questions on 1099 contracting that's going to come up. But basically, you can work as a W-2 contractor doing locums, or you can work as a 1099 contractor. So when you work as a W-2 contractor, guys, it's similar to your staff job where these agencies would provide you with 401k, health insurance, dental, and vision. Whereas if you work as a 1099 contractor, you guys are responsible for all of those. But don't you worry, as long as you get yourself together initially, get everything you need together before starting contracting roles, that is the best way to go about it. And guess what? I have the resources, which I'll tag below, on how to make sure that you're operating correctly as a 1099 contractor. So let's go into question number 4. How do I find my first locum tenens contract? You guys, do not underestimate social media. We are in an age where social media is booming right now. So you want to make sure you check out platforms on Facebook, check out Instagram, check out LinkedIn. LinkedIn is big with these opportunities. So you want to make sure that you navigate these opportunities. I'll definitely make sure that I tag my Facebook group below where we post opportunities inside that Facebook group Monday to Friday. So you can join it and it's free. Let's get to the next question. Should I go through an agency or find contracts on my own? That is a good question. Now, let me tell you. So finding contracts on your own is something called direct contracting. That is without the utilization of the agency. Okay, so that is when you totally eliminate the agency as a part of the process, right? The job process. That is when you're working directly with the clinic or the hospital to secure opportunities. The perks of going through an agency is you taking advantage of what the agency can offer you in addition to the work experience. So those will be things like the flight, the car rental, the hotel. If that is something where you're like, well, I don't really care about that right now, then you can go direct contracting. But 9 times out of 10, it is harder to find those contracts. The agencies make it easy for you because they are already connecting with hospitals and clinics. So they have their roster of those hospitals or clinics that are looking for contractors. When you do direct contracting, it's about who you know. And if you know the people inside the hospital or clinic, then chances are you can probably get a contract with them. So the next topic we're going to talk about is contracts and negotiation, y'all. This is absolutely my favorite topic to talk about because who doesn't like to talk about money? Okay. How do I negotiate my locum tenens pay rate? Honestly, negotiation is a skill that takes time to master. But one of the ways that you can negotiate higher pay rates is by simply researching the market to see what the agencies are offering, okay? And obviously, you know the range. So if it's like $80 to $100 an hour, depending on the agencies, you know that the range right now is between $80 and $100 an hour. But one of the best things that I like to look at is compare it to a staff job for the same specialty. So I'm in urgent care. If I know an urgent care staff provider makes about $85 an hour in this particular state, I'm going to make sure that I negotiate at least $10 to $15 more, at least to start. So any contracts that does not align with that amount, I won't go for. So you want to just know how much a staff NP is making in that same state so that you know how to negotiate well. That is one tip that I would give you guys, okay? Take it and run with it. What red flags should I look for in locum tenens contracts? A hospital is always going to be a hospital. A clinic is always going to be a clinic. So one thing that you want to make sure your contract should have is a termination clause. Because in the event that you do not like that job, you want to make sure that there is a termination clause in there that allows you to leave early. If there's no termination clause in there, that is a red flag. You need to go to your recruiter and make sure there's a termination clause in there. Should I accept a contract without housing and travel cover? It really depends on what you like, what type of person you are. If you are traveling, I will hope that you accept a contract with housing and transportation because you're traveling. If you are in your home state, you might have housing, you might have transportation. So you may not need that. Therefore, you have more of a negotiation power to increase your rate. So it all depends on what's important for you at this very given moment. I took a contract in San Jose, California. The rate wasn't the highest, but I took it because I wanted to be in the sun. I wanted to be by the beach. I wanted to be in a hotel, and I wanted transportation. I wanted to get out of New York City weather for a while, so I took that type of contract. So it really depends on what you want and need at any particular stage of your life. What's the difference between W-2 and 1099 contracts? I did explain that earlier, but if you are listening in still, with W-2 contract, taxes are taken out of. You typically get housing and transportation, but you get health insurance, 401k, dental, and vision as well. When it comes to 1099 contracts, you still may get housing and transportation as well, but you will be responsible for taxes, medical, dental, and vision. So you got to pick your poison. I personally like 1099 contracts, and we'll go into it a little bit later. Can I work multiple locum contracts at the same time? Of course you can. You can work as many locum contracts as your body desires, but make sure you don't get yourself all burnt out. A typical locum contract is about 3 months long with options to extend, but you may work contract as simple as one shift. You may cover a FMLA coverage, you may cover a maternity leave, you may do a sick call, or you might work at a job where they just want your availability for months and they staff their provider, and then they will go ahead and staff you after they staff their provider. Those are like your PRN contracts. So it all depends. Now let's talk more about financial and business consideration when it comes to your contract. How do I handle taxes as a 1099 locum nurse practitioner? As I mentioned to you guys, I do 1099 contracts the most compared to W-2 contracts. So it really takes meticulous planning. It is important for you to have an idea on how to manage your taxes and how your money flow is looking throughout the year. And it is also important for you to have a good tax strategist, aka your CPA. Not every CPA is a great CPA though. So you want to make sure that you have one that understands your field. You as a 1099 contractor should have a broad understanding on what to deduct as a contractor that applies directly to your job. You have to have an understanding of your finances, your profit and loss statements. You need to have meticulous bookkeeping. You need to know how much you should be paying back in taxes every single quarter. And these are estimated taxes, guys. Chances are, if you are doing tax strategy the right way, you may actually get money back, even if you're a 1099 contractor. So my suggestion is every paycheck, at least take out 25 to 35% out of your paycheck, put it away for taxes, and then every quarter you want to pay your estimate taxes. Do I need an LLC for Locum Tenens work? If you are doing 1099 contracting, yes. If you are doing W-2 contracting, you don't need one. What are the best tax deductions for Locum Tenens nurse practitioner? Ooh, this is a great one, y'all. I love this one. So the best tax deductions for Locum Tenens nurse practitioners are things like your licenses. So if you have to get any additional licenses, these do count as tax deduction. Anything that allows you to develop professionally, any programs that you invest in that allows you to become a better locum provider, shameless plug, my program, that allows you to become a better locum provider, and your DEA licenses, DOT certifications, ACLS, BLS, housing, transportation. If you work remotely, telemedicine, your computer, your internet, your phone bill, lights, Con Edison bill. Those things are tax deductible as long as you can verify that this is needed for you to operate as a contractor. You're golden. Shameless plug. My program is tax deductible. Now, y'all, let's talk into lifestyle and work-life balance. We become locums or contractors because we want a better work-life balance, right? We want more time with our family. We want more time with our friends. We want holidays off. Let's get a little bit into work-life balance and the lifestyle that you could create as a locum provider. All right, what is the best way to maintain work-life balance as a locum NP? Ooh, this is a great question. Negotiate higher and take breaks. I'm going to say it again. Negotiate higher and take breaks. The higher you negotiate, the more time you buy back. So if you are able to negotiate higher rates, you can start working less than 12 months out of the year, even 6 to 9 months out of the year. How do I handle credentialing and licensing for multiple states? I like to keep things in a Google Drive, y'all. I would show you my Google Drive. I love to keep things in a Google Drive. Everything is organized. I know the end date for things, so I'm going to show you guys here. I know the end dates. I don't know if you guys can see it. I know the end dates for things. I know the expiration dates, the licenses, my DEAs. Everything is on this screen, and it's in a Google Drive. So I get to keep up with what's expiring. My CEUs is here. Pain management, CMEs that I need, passport, my Medicaid ID, everything that I need for credentialing, I keep in this Google Drive. And when it's time to do credentialing for these different agencies, I just give the credentialing specialist access to this document. What are pros and cons of being a full-time locum NP? The pros was everything that I spoke about earlier. But realistically, some of the cons may be contract cancellations. You want to make sure that you are prepared for these contract cancellations should it happen. You want to make sure you're financially prepared to take the breaks that's needed when it comes to contract cancellation. We are not talking about a W-2 job where you get paid every 2 weeks. We are talking about the fact that you may work for 3 months only. You may work for 6 months only. You got to keep in mind that you are a temp with them, so you want to make sure you are prepared for the changes that come along with your career as well. My tip to give to you guys is always stay looking in the market. Always connect with different recruiters. That is going to be your main goal. And always see what's the reason why you are being hired, right? Are you covering a FMLA? Are you covering a maternity leave? How long is it going to take for that provider to come back from maternity leave? Are you just doing a sick day? What kind of assignment are you working so that you know in your mind that this is a temporary assignment? I need to start looking in the market again. But what's most important is the most flexible you are and the more licenses you have, you will always have opportunities for you. No doubt. How do I know if Locum Tenens is the right fit for me? You will know if Locum Tenens is the right fit for you if you want that freedom and flexibility in your career. If you value having a say over your time, your freedom, locums is for you. So, that wrapped up this series, guys. I hope you truly enjoyed it. I hope I gave you insights about my career path as a locum tenens nurse practitioner. Remember to make sure to like, comment, and subscribe down below. Check out the resources that I provided for you guys down below, and I'll see you in the next vlog. Bye.